But it's hard for me to pick out one favorite thing
Yeah.
because there's so much good wine out there. And that's why I tell people to drink different things all the time, because the more you drink different stuff, you're gonna expose yourself to new regions, new grape varietals. And you might fall in love with a $15 Portuguese wine that's,
Yeah.
cheaper than the $40 Napa Cab you've been drinking.
Welcome to another episode of Inspired By, where we have casual conversations with creatives to hear all about what they do and what makes them tick and how they are so creative and inspire us with their creativity every day. I am your host, Marissa Davis, and I am joined by co-host Jennifer Nilsson.
Hello.
And by the way, today, can you guys believe it is so close to the end of summer? I would like to say, kids are headed back to school, which means it's going to be longer for me to get to work in the morning. But I'm sure parents everywhere are rejoicing. The days are long right now, but they're going to get shorter and shorter every day. The sun is going to get a little bit cooler, and we can all enjoy a glass of wine back out on the patio without all of the mosquitoes and humidity and heat.
Sounds dreamy.
So today is all about cheersing to the end of summer and the beginning of fall, which is coming up upon us. And we are going to talk today with a certified sommelier who has built his career around his passion for wine and wine pairings. And very excited to introduce you guys to Chad White, who will teach us all about his passion and love for wine. And trust me, I think you're going to want to take some notes in this one. You're going to get some really good tips. So excited to share his story with you.
Can't wait. I can't wait to hear all the good things. But before we get to Chad, we start every episode with a creative brief. And we're joined by a couple of members of our Clementine team, and they bring a surprise topic of conversation to the table for us. So today we are joined by Tristan and Caroline. So thank you all for being here.
Hello.
What do you have for us?
Very exciting.
Yes, thank you for having us. And I feel like what we're bringing to the table kind of aligns with the whole back to school a little bit
I
theme.
think so. It's right on
Think-
top of it.
Yep. Mhm. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the social media parenting advice. Do this, but don't do that.
I'm sure it's pretty polarizing.
Yeah.
I'm tired just thinking about it.
So, in today's world, like parents, raising kids with one hand on the diaper bag or diapers and the other with their phone in their hand, doom scrolling social media, trying to figure out what they should do, how to handle their toddler or baby, or like how they should baby-led wean. Should they do this or should they do that? Or should they not do this?
If only it were that easy.
So many opinions.
Yes.
Ever-changing thing. And really because of this, it's really giving rise to what we can really call the rise of scared parent marketing. It's something that, if we really think about it, stems out of the 2020 pandemic. It was a time where information was really hard to find, especially if it was something that was either trustworthy or even just the integrity if it was really going to work. A lot of people were trying to figure out, what do we do? How do we protect ourselves as single people? And especially as parents when it comes to children, how do we keep our little ones safe? And this is really where we saw the rise of TikTok taking such a boom. So not just for dances, but also for information. This is one of the things that oftentimes brands, influencers say, how can I leverage this? And this is where that scared marketing really comes in. And even for myself, this is something that came at a critical time. We're in the process of trying to have our son. We then get to a point where he was ready, he was born, and then we hit the NICU.
Yeah.
And as someone who's a new parent, you're already anxious, you're already scared, but now you're in a situation where things feel dire.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm already on a heightened sense of emergency and alert. And what do I do in the NICU? I stare at the baby monitor. I stare at his heart rate. I stare at his OSTAT, because that's really what determines whether or not you get to go home with baby. So as a parent, when you're coming home from the hospital, what's that feeling that you have? It's the same thing. How's my baby doing? Is he okay today? What's his vitals? And that's the things that brands like to leverage. So for me, I was finally looking, how can I do this with my baby? How can I keep him safe? What pops up on my algorithm now that I've done this? The outlet.
Yeah.
It's going to tell me specifically, hey, you want to know what your baby's heart rate is right now? Guess what? I have that for you.
Yeah.
So I kept looking, I kept searching, and then I told my wife finally, I said, Miranda, my love, we need this device.
I must have it in
I
my
must
life.
have it. It's going to help us to understand what's happening with our kid all the time. We'll know his heart rate. We'll know if he's okay. And that was the point where she said, that sounds cool, but no.
Yeah.
This was the difference, really.
Yeah.
For me, I had an emotional feeling to the things I need to do. And that's really what the marketing hit. But on the other side of this, my wife, she's a nurse. She's a NICU nurse,
Right.
actually. So her experience of the evidence of what really would happen is what leveraged that too. But this is something that often people, they don't have.
Yeah.
They don't have the leverage between the emotional marketing side of things, but also the balance of the evidence-based. And it's really where it's hard to make a decision. It's hard to figure out where the line is today.
Yeah. And it's so hard on social media too, because there is so much out there that you look at and go, oh, this is absolutely what I need to do. And then the next video you see is like, never, ever do that. And you're like, but now I'm like scared in both directions. And who's the tiebreaker and how do you know who you're listening to? You know,
Exactly.
it's,
Yeah. And like, I feel like, in our generation growing up, like we've gone from rubber ducky thermometers to Bluetooth devices that like show you their heart
Read
rate,
everything.
read everything
Yeah.
while they're sleeping, so you know that like you don't have to worry, and it puts that fear out of your mind. But also there are like false alarms with all of these
Yeah.
things, with a lot of these products. But same thing for screen time, which I feel like is a big discussion with parents these days, and on social media, what to do, what not to do. You have the whole Miss Rachel tribe who's like, oh, Miss Rachel's great. She's teaching our toddlers, which maybe they have a point. Like, she is a speech pathologist, so she is teaching them. Kids do learn from her. But on the other side of things, like, when, we've always heard no screen time until like, a certain age, they can watch this many minutes a day and then this many minutes a day when they hit 2 or 3. So it's like, what's right? Like, she's a speech pathologist. She's teaching her children, but then is the screen time okay?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
well, and there's all of those, I feel like such an sort of influencer, if you will, industry has grown up around this too.
Oh, yeah.
You have all of these things that grew out of podcasts, or your Big Little Feelings and your Dr. Becky's and your all of those kinds of things that are out there because they're all in my feed, and I'm like, I don't know, do I listen to you? Do I not listen to you? You're stressing me out, But there's so much. It feels like so much information, but you don't know what information is
To take and
Yeah.
what to leave.
And I think that's really a challenge from both sides. I mean, certainly as a consumer, it's hard to know like what, and, as a semi-panicked most of the time parent myself, you don't really know what to believe, but you know what evokes that emotional reaction, just like you're talking about with the owlet coming out of NICU. But also, I imagine from the flip side as brands or creators or things like that, like, how do you build trust with an audience in an environment that is so, so scattered and crowded and all over the place?
Overstimulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the information there's always been that dichotomy of information. So before social media, before technology, all of that, there were a million books that you could read on parenting, and one would give you one side of the spectrum and the other would give you the total opposite. It's still happening in that same way. It's just like you said, over inundated with information. So you're able to take in so much more now than we ever were, because you used to have to read a book. And now they can just tell you in 15, 20, 30 seconds.
And it's being fed to you all the time on the
Constantly.
screen that you're looking at. Yeah.
And I feel like it scares you so much that you go and do your own research, which is great to do your own research, but you don't know where to turn. You don't know like who to trust.
yeah.
And like same thing with sleep training. There are so many companies out there that offer this on social media, and like when you're in that situation as a new parent, you're like, I don't know what's right. This person I follow does this. This person I follow does this.
I just
and,
want them to sleep.
Yeah.
yeah,
All I want is an answer.
and you spend so much time like trying to find the right answer, and I think it goes back to the whole like do this but also don't, and
Very
the
much.
whole marketing and the whole scare tactic and all of that around that marketing. It's really it's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
say that.
It's a big
That's the thing. I mean, what are the ethics around scaring the daylights out of people on a regular basis to make sales? I mean, not that it's new, but I feel like it has become very prolific on social media. Like it's easy to do now.
Very
almost.
much. And really, like you were saying before, not knowing which direction to go is really where the challenge comes. There's a lot of contradictory information. Like, for example, individuals who really want to do something with Montessori versus maybe more of a strict rule kind of mindset. And all of us mentally were trying not to be some form of helicopter parent. So it's really hard to find which way to go. And also, there's a lot of shame sometimes that come with that.
Yeah.
Because different camps will really push and pioneer certain things. And so by the time you're trying to figure out what's going on, you get into a real sense where it's essentially an algorithm-fueled guilt spiral.
Yeah.
Essentially, moms and dads and people like ourselves, we end up questioning ourselves. We don't know what to do. And that's really where we get these weird responses and we don't know what direction to really follow. It's really tough nowadays.
Yeah. Well, what's the answer to finding that? Have you found a source in the social media melee that you trust, and what triggers that feeling of trust?
I think it's about experience. If you think about as being parents, anytime you have a kid, you really have to take note to the fact that every kid is unique.
Yeah.
And that uniqueness is going to mean things that you may try with one child may not work for the other.
Okay.
So it's really about finding that balance. And at the end of the day, authenticity wins. People want to know what is an honest way that doesn't need to be over polished, all this extra stuff, but what gets results. And oftentimes that's what really wins out. And it's really a thing that happens over the long haul. It's usually a track record of, hey, this works out for people, this works out for kids. But again, parents have to recognize you have to do a bit more of your own due diligence and say, this is the kid that I have right now. At some point, as we already know, that kid is going to change, but we'll understand how it is that we can best do what's for us, and we make it unique to ourselves to make sure that our little one grows in a way that really gets the love that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the authenticity, we talk about that all the time, authenticity and storytelling and how that kind of resonates with someone. But when you think about it from an online perspective, with parenting info or with a lot of things out there, you get fed all of this information and then you essentially look for reinforcement, right? You're looking for real people that look like you that say, hey, this worked, or hey, this didn't work, So I think that's I guess that's the best we can all do.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the best balance.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Transparency is key.
Transparency.
Yeah, read the comments. There are always a lot of comments. If you can weed out the wrong ones or the bad ones, then maybe you'll actually find out what really works and what doesn't.
Oh, what a rabbit hole.
I know.
It is. That's also the beauty of TikTok. You're
Yeah.
able to see not just what companies and brands are doing, but just also everyday people like ourselves and really what's working for them and what's not. And that's where we're able to find the balance that we're looking for nowadays. And again, try to do what we can for our families.
Yeah. I love that. I love that idea. Well, that's cool. I think that was a cool topic and very timely for our almost back to school time, which I can't believe it is.
And after doing all of that research, you need a lot of wine.
Yes. See, these two dovetail together perfectly. Well, thank you guys so much for bringing that to the table today. That was really fun. But looks like our guest has arrived. So give us just 1 minute to get him all set up and we will be right back.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Inspired by podcast. Our guest today is a certified sommelier. He has extensive experience in wine selection, service, and education, and he is currently the sommelier at Mac's Chop House here in Marietta Square. Please welcome Chad White to our program.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
So, sommelier, please, for those of us who are not as well educated as you, give us a little bit of background about what you do and who you are.
So a sommelier is basically an expert in beverage, wine, spirits, beers also included. Often not used as much, but we have to know at least a little bit. And an expert in service as far as keeping the service levels at a specific level in restaurants, especially you find us generally in wine-centric, higher-end establishments.
Sure. Yeah. So what led you to pursue this as a passion and also a career?
It just kind of happened. I kind of just stumbled into it because I actually went to school for theater, and as most people who go to school for theater, you realize you're not going to make any money doing that unless you get really lucky. And so I just started working in restaurants, fell into wine, and then just started down that path. And as we say, like, we got you get the wine bug. You kind of you start learning about the history behind it and how wine kind of and history are kind of like this trajectory that go together.
Yeah.
And I was also a history freak, so I kind of like it just meshed well for me.
Yeah.
And being from theater background, being at a table and presenting and talking to guests, it wasn't hard for me. So I was like, oh, I can do this, and I can make more money than singing backup vocals
Right.
for someone.
Although that sounds like fun too.
Yeah, you know, there was a time, you know, I was working like 3 jobs, and I did that, and I did restaurants, and then finally landed into a restaurant position where I only had 1 job. So,
Yeah.
But I just rolled into it and fell into it, started traveling, got the exposure to actual, you know, vineyards and winemakers,
Yeah.
and then you really just like kind of like
Sink your teeth right
sink
into
it. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome. So, you know, we were kind of thinking through how the sommelier fits into more of a creative profession or creative idea. And what I love is that you do have a creative background outside of, you know, being a wine connoisseur. So talk a little bit about how you kind of align the thought of creativity into what you do as a sommelier.
I think every wine director, beverage director, if they're running a program, they all have their own little touch. We all have our favorite regions. We also have to, you know, I know I'm in Marietta. I know I can't go crazy. Like,
Right.
You know, I used to work at Lucien. I know that I can't exactly have the same kind of program.
Yeah.
But I want to be as playful as I can, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where the creativity coming in. It's like finding stuff that I think me and my staff will be happy to sell and be excited to sell, but still being able to align with the customer base. But I mean, Marietta's come a long way. I mean, like, I grew up in Woodstock.
Yeah.
And when I was in my 20s, I would have never have thought of, like, with the list I'm building now, I would have never have thought of putting those wines on a list in Marietta. And I think it's because we got Spring over here, and I worked with them in the past when I was in distribution, and they have a phenomenal wine list. And I think he really opened the doors.
And he's a sommelier
Yeah,
too.
Dan is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Everyone who's in Marietta, go to Spring.
Michelin rated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, they are.
The other thing that I keep thinking about, coming from more of a creative background, is the potential connection between the wines that you taste and kind of the opening up of your taste buds and palate, and how that almost aligns with an artist learning about color theory and then being able to use it and be playful, like you said, kind of being able to use it in ways outside of the typical rules and all of that.
God, it comes from just years of tasting wine. You know, I think a lot of people who like, oh, I want to be a somm, they think that there might be just some like textbook that's going to tell them how to do it.
Right.
And you can only learn by drinking. And you learn your taste. I mean, everyone's taste is different. And this is why I tell a lot of people not to buy by points when you're buying wine.
Yeah, right.
Because whoever tasted that wine, their palate's going to be different than yours. So they might give that wine 100 points, and you might be like, I don't really like it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, but I think it comes from experimenting all the time. One thing I tell people to do if they're trying to learn about wine and expand their palate, don't drink the same thing all the time. Because then it trains your palate to think that that's what everything should taste like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
a good point.
and stay away from, I try to tell people to stay away from as much as you can. I know everyone has a budget in wine and stuff like that, but there really is like good wine in every price category. And there's one brand in particular that is available here in Atlanta, and it's called Mary Taylor. And she has made lesser known European wines available in a big way, in a very good cost point. And I think a brand like that, where you can drink wines from all over France, Italy, Spain in a budget, can help elevate someone's palate a good bit.
Yeah. I can imagine. And I've, you know, Jennifer and I both dabble in wine.
As we all do.
But I think that, you know, as you become more experienced with wine and you talk to other people who know and really love wine, there are those wine snobs, quote unquote, and there are also those people that are very open to drinking different price points, like you said, and being able to experience the good points of each of those, tiered levels, and kind of don't want to limit themselves to only being able to drink $50 or $60 bottles of wine.
I mean, I don't drink $50, $60 wines,
Yeah.
Daily.
Right.
You can find wines. You have to be a little bit more selective, generally, domestically, just because they're allowed to do things here domestically that they can't do in France.
Right.
As in adding color or flavor or something like that. But you can find a $12 French Beaujolais that's perfectly fine. And it's the one thing, like, it is a larger brand, but it's funny because you can generally find it in almost every grocery store. Is like, if you're in the middle of the country, you're in the middle of nowhere, you can probably find Louis Jadot Beaujolais at any Publix.
Yep.
Like, and if, like, I've been, out in the middle of Alabama on a lake, and you go to the local Publix and they have Louis Jadot, and I'm like, okay, cool.
And you're like,
I'll
okay,
be
this will work.
I'm in a good
This will work.
Yeah, and those are the kind of brands that are a good place to start for people who's interested in getting into Burgundy, getting into and stuff like that, because they make wines that are accessible price wise. When you get into the small producers, the stuff that like Soms, like catnip for Soms, pretty much. That's when the prices start getting big. I mean, in Burgundy in general, once you get above a certain village level, they're just expensive.
Yeah.
But that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, but Burgundy is, it's where Pinot and Chardonnay started. It's where the Romans found them growing wild, stuck sticks in the ground and started cultivating them. So literally, I mean, most Soms would agree that it is the example of the best Pinot Noir and Chardonnay out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another thing that
That's good
Romans
to
did
know.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drank plenty of wine.
They drank plenty of wine. They did
Yeah.
extensive tasting, just
Yeah.
like you said.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Speaking of Rome, I know that you've done a lot of traveling as part of this role. Talk about some of the places that you've been and what that experience has been like, and kind of the cultural aspects of what makes good wine good wine.
That's probably the most fun part about this job. If you land a position that will send you places, that's obvious. Like, that's the best perk, and especially if you're not having to pay for it. But I have been able to go to Bordeaux and travel through France extensively, and parts of Italy and Spain. I recently was this past year, I went on a trip for almost 4 weeks, and I went to Spain, Morocco, and Portugal.
Oh, nice.
And there are surprisingly good wines in Morocco.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't heard much about Moroccan wine.
Morocco's incredible. And you wouldn't think about it because most Islamic countries don't drink,
Right.
but it is a heavily visited country by Europeans.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
they
That
do
makes
make wine
sense.
there. There's a lot of French winemakers who have just gone there and started making wine. But Portugal is incredible. The wines there are extraordinary. They're very affordable. I think anyone who is interested in having a really great time, food, wine, just cultural experience, you should definitely check out Portugal.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places I've ever been, and I can't wait to go back. The wines there are really they've been making wine forever, but they're really, like, I think in the last 10 years have really come a long way, and you're seeing super high quality production, but compared to the price of Napa or
Right.
Yeah.
famous Bordeaux or Burgundy, it's like half the price for their top tier wines.
It's amazing.
Makes them super accessible.
I think that's the beauty of people kind of experimenting with wines, and I say people, I mean winemakers, kind of building their new vineyards and things, as you get the opportunity to try what will become one of the best wines at a really affordable price as they're starting out.
Yeah.
But I think it gives them an opportunity to share themselves with the world, and you get an opportunity to taste probably really good wine before
Yeah.
word gets out.
I mean, the most fun is when you get to go to a producer and you get to taste the wine in barrel, and so you're tasting a wine as it's being aged, as it's on its way to being bottling. So when you get to do a barrel sample, and then when that wine is finally bottled and say hits the States and you have it available here, it's two different things.
Yeah.
Because it was in its youth when you tasted it out of barrel, and now it's had some more time and it's a different wine. And that's
Yeah.
the fun thing about wine. And it is like literally like something alive in the bottle that changes with time. Especially naturally produced wines, because they're using native yeast. They're not using laboratory cultivated yeast that produce the same thing every year. When you're using native yeast that's just in the cellar, on the grape skins, on the vines, every year's different in nature, so the wines can be different every single year.
Yeah.
And that's the most fun, when you run into producers who just, you don't know what you're going to get every year.
Right.
You know, some of these natural producers, you might get what we call a mousy wine one year, and sometimes that'll age out, and sometimes it won't. But then some years when they're banging, they're just like some Beaujolais producers I can think of. Like every now and then you'll get a mousy bottle, and that's just kind of, it's like, you know, Russian roulette with wine.
Right. Yeah.
But when they're good, their killer Cru Beaujolais is something that can be better than a lot of wine, I think, in my opinion, because Gamay is such a versatile grape varietal, and you can do a lot of different styles of wine with it, but it also pairs with tons of food. And when at Max, it's something I'm trying to do is bring a list to that program, because you have two very different restaurants. You have the Raw Bar,
Right.
and then you have the Chop House.
Right.
Two very different styles of food. And so I have to find a lot of wines that are somewhat in the middle to be able to go back and forth, you know. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a challenge. That we're cutting the list in half. The BTG list is massive right now,
Yeah.
and on our next, we're changing the list in September.
Okay.
So anyone listening that wants to see a new wine,
Dash on
Here's
over.
what's coming for fall.
yeah. So, but I'm paring it down because I don't think customers like, some do maybe, but I don't. When I go into a restaurant, I don't want to see like a ton of BTGs because I don't know what to pick.
Right.
And so I'm trying to pare it down and just be like, hey, Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, this is it. 6 whites, 6 reds, some sparklers, and rosé.
I think that's great to have it, but then it's really curated,
Yeah,
right?
right,
To what
exactly.
you are, you know,
Yeah,
think
and I'm
will-
sure I'm
will
not
work the
making
best
some
and-
distributors happy, but that's fine.
They might get their chance next season.
I've been a distributor, you know, I know how the game works.
Yeah.
And but we're going to be changing our list every quarter.
Okay.
So the list will change. And I think that's going to be nice. You know, we have spring,
Right.
but I think Marietta needs a high volume kind of wine mecca restaurant.
Right.
It just does, we just don't have it here right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do, to really expose Marietta. Like, yes, I'll have plenty of stuff that's comfortable. Like, I'll
Yeah.
have California Chardonnay with my approval stamp. And we'll have Cabernet. And, you know, it's Chop House. I get it. We got to have those things. You know? And I'll keep wines in stock that people just want to drink.
Yeah.
Like me personally, I don't drink Camus, but there are plenty of people who do. And I'm not an idiot, and I know that that's something I have to have.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm never going to tell someone not to drink something. If they like it, they like it.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, I'm not a wine snob. I have my stuff that I like. But, you know, if someone wants to drink Camus 5 days a week, and that's what you like, and you want to spend $60 a bottle on it, go
Yeah.
for it, you know?
How do you feel about $2 Chuck?
In Europe, they're good.
Yeah.
Here, I've tried the Trader Joe's. I used to work for Whole Foods.
Okay.
So I tried theirs. They're 3 Wishes wines. I'll cook with them.
Yeah.
Me personally, I won't drink them. But like I said, you know, if that's someone likes, drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It's your at the end of the day, it's your palate, it's your wine.
Yeah, it's your choice.
Going in your
Yeah.
digestive system. So
exactly.
you know, do with it
you
what you
choose
will.
what you put in your body. You know, and there are some value brands out there that aren't horrible. It's unfortunately the byproduct of being in the wine world for as long as I have been. I just know all the dirty secrets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You've
and-
seen behind the
Sometimes
curtain.
you know
behind
too
the
much.
curtain. And I have certain producers and people. I get this. I'm sure you know. People ask me this question. I get asked this probably 4 times a day. What's your favorite wine? I don't have a favorite wine. I have favorite regions and
Sure.
favorite producers.
Yeah.
but it's hard for me to pick out one favorite thing
Yeah.
because there's so much good wine out there. And that's why I tell people to drink different things all the time, because the more you drink different stuff, you're gonna expose yourself to new regions, new grape varietals. And you might fall in love with a $15 Portuguese wine that's
Yeah.
cheaper than the $40 Napa Cab you've been drinking.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm interested too, like in the restaurant environment, you're curating this list obviously with an existing menu. Is there any collaboration with the food, or when you guys do pairings?
So
or
chef
things
and
like
I
that?
are when I finish what I think I want for the menu, which is coming soon, hopefully. I get distributors send me their books, and then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot they had that. Damn.
Now I want that
Now
too.
I want that on the list, but I don't have room for it. What do I do? And I'm trying to be fair to all the distributors.
Sure, yeah.
Because again, I did that job, and I get that that's their
Yeah.
livelihood by having, especially when you're a distributor, having a wine on the BTG list is where you make your money.
Right.
So, I recently had a meeting with a distributor, and they looked horrified because they heard I was cutting the list in half. And that's okay, I get it. But I'm trying to just make it a better experience for the
Yeah.
customer. And by changing the list every 3 months,
Yep.
yes, they're going to get a chance every 3 months.
Well, and it gives them a reason to come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they'll, when you're a distributor, you constantly go through this. Like restaurants, there's generally changeover within every few years.
Yeah.
Sure.
People get other jobs, they move on, they want to do something else.
Sure.
I mean, that's one thing about this industry is people do move around a lot, and it's because there's so many options out there. But I think from a distributor aspect, working with your buyers and like, okay, cool, I now have to pivot and see what they want. And, and the big guys, they have the stuff they have to sell.
Right.
It's their job to tell me, hey, we want this to have you
Yeah.
on the menu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's wheeling and dealing and all that stuff. But, it's a challenge because I haven't dealt with a restaurant like this before, this high volume. It is a challenge for me
Yeah.
because I have to have stuff I like, but then stuff I know that's going to be in stock.
Yeah. Right.
That you
So,
can.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I love the small distributors. They have the coolest shit. Excuse my language. They have the coolest stuff, and but I have to make sure it's here.
Yeah.
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 For sure. So do you get to go through and taste the whole menu so you can pick what goes with it?
Yeah. So once I finalize the menu, I will get bottle samples from my distributors, and I'll go through them with chef and the owner Randy will most likely be present, and they'll tell me what they don't like, what they do like. Do I need to maybe show this distributor a little bit more attention because they've been in business with us for a long time, kind of thing. And that's the politics of the wine industry.
Yeah,
and
of
that's
course.
just what it is. But yes, I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's exciting. Also, we have an oyster house. We have a raw bar.
Yeah.
We should have a really big champagne list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For real.
So, I love champagne. Tell this to everyone, champagne goes with everything. I once did a dinner at a steakhouse with entirely all champagne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And people would be surprised, especially rosé champagnes. They'll go with everything on the
Really?
table. Yeah.
Are you a rosé fan?
I love rosé.
I know it's kind of like that seems a little bit. You either like.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of I hear guys out there, they're like, I don't drink rosé
Yeah.
just for women. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
right.
I know a gentleman who makes some very expensive wine who drinks rosé every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of that though was rosés of the past, and now rosés got a new life, and people are spending more time doing it correctly and creating good rosés. Maybe.
I think the quality of rosé has greatly increased. I think because it's now a category that people have to focus on.
Right.
I especially we're in Georgia. It's hot for half of the year.
Yep.
Rosé is perfect.
Yeah.
It's good with barbecue. It's good with seafood. It's real barbecue and rosé, guys, is killer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And
Like making notes.
I know.
Things I need to
I'm
try.
thinking to myself that I want you to invite me to the next tasting.
Exactly.
so rosé champagne and Publix fried chicken.
Oh.
It's a good time.
Have to try it.
Yeah.
That sounds like a classic.
It's really, really good.
I like it.
Yeah. But it's we're going to have a lot of fun at the restaurant. I'm excited. I'm working with, so my counterpart, she is spirits and doing the whole cocktail program. She came from Charleston. Her name's Nicole.
Oh, cool.
And so we're just working on this thing together, and like every now and then we both are like, downstairs in the wine cage, and we're like, take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
Creating something new, though.
Creating something new,
Yeah.
and then also like getting staff on board.
Yeah.
So because like I said, a lot of them have been there a long time, and I'm trying my best to make them comfortable and also educate them at the same time.
Of course.
Yeah. So
Can you talk a little bit about the experience of maybe as you were learning and as you are now, the experience of tasting wine and what that feels like? Kind of take us through
Okay.
the process for those who can
when
try
I
at
taste
home.
wine, get good at swirling. Don't throw it out the glass. After a few glasses, I might, so don't worry about it. But you smell the wine first. You look at the color. I go back and smell it a second time, sometimes a third time. If it smells really good, then I'm just like got my nose in my mouth. But
And you stick your nose way up in the glass.
way up in that glass. Me, my taste is I love Chablis. I love high acid white wines. I like funky Merlots. But when I'm tasting a wine, you're absorbing everything, you're smelling everything, and then when you taste it, you want to hold it in your mouth for a minute and kind of just let it go over your whole palate, swallow it, and you'll get more on the back end than you would when you hold it there for just a minute. And I always just sit and think about it. Like, what am I actually tasting? Like, go through your memory of, like, if you think it's red fruit, like, well, does it taste like raspberries or strawberries or cherries or blue fruit, blueberries, boysenberry, gooseberry, that kind of thing. And it also comes from tasting food. Like, if you want to get good at tasting wine, you have to eat a lot of different food. I think if you pivot yourself into one style of food all the time, your palate's going to be kind of dulled down.
Yeah, sure.
I tell people, like, eat a lot of Thai food. Really good Chinese food on Buford Highway, guys. If you guys haven't been to, like, Northern China Eatery and Canton House, it's like some of the best dumplings in town. And just eating all kinds of different food is going to broaden your palate, and it's going to make you better at tasting wine because you pick up flavors that you wouldn't think about in wine normally. Yeah. And when we talk about, like, a good example is like Provençal, like southern French red wines. Lavender grows down there. A lot of herbs grow down there, and that's a characteristic. Kind of like what grows together goes together.
Right. Yeah.
It's a characteristic of a lot of, like, Mourvèdres and Grenaches from that part of France. Is you have this herbal, they call it garrigue, like herby, like aromatic flavors.
Interesting.
And like Napa is, they got a lot of sunshine.
Yeah.
It's hot there.
Yeah.
So those are ripe, big-bodied, very fruit dominated wines. But with age, they can be quite different.
And I imagine, too, with all of the wildfires and everything going on in California, I know that has changed a lot of the varietals that they either grow or at least how everything tastes now than it did a number of years ago.
And harvest times. Like, if you got 2020 was a rough year.
Yeah.
Oregon, California, they had a lot of wildfires. A lot of people, it depends on their harvest times. If they make really ripe style Cabernets, that means they're letting that fruit hang on the vine for significantly longer. If you're someone like Dunn or, I'm thinking of some producers I know and love, one of them like Pax and a couple other people who make brighter, fresher, lower alcohol style wines, they're usually picking earlier than those guys who are making, so they maybe have gotten their fruit in already before the smoke hits. But in 2020, the white wines were already in. It was the red fruit that got affected.
Yeah.
And that smoke will go straight through the skins, and you get what we call smoke taint. And it is noticeable. There's a way of getting that out of the wine, but it's like it involves a lot of secondary production, and you're kind of really manipulating the wine at that point. And in Oregon, any of them who had smoke taint, I think the way they got around it was like they just did super fresh, like not much skin contact. I mean, the 2020 Pinots in Oregon were some of the lightest Pinots I've ever seen because they were trying to minimize the smoke taint in their wines. So
I did a little winery vineyard loop around Oregon a number of years back with a friend, and I just remember them always talking about their volcanic soil, and it was all about the volcanic soil.
Yep.
And I think it's so interesting how things like that affect the end product that's coming out, and when you're tasting it.
Oregon Pinots, Oregon has Oregon's gotten really popular. So you now have, it used to be like a lot of small guys making some really killer wines.
Yeah.
But now you have a lot of the big companies that have got into Oregon, and so they're making big production wines. But I mean, you have companies like Irie, which are the first people, really the first big growers there.
Yes, I went there.
Who make absolutely incredible wines. And they're being playful now, and they're making Trousseau and a lot of like Jura varietals they're working with, and those wines are extraordinary, but they're expensive. Oregon wine has gotten a bit expensive if it's the good stuff. But then there's, especially in Willamette.
Yeah.
But you have other growing regions there. Down south you have the Impeachment Valley, which is they're doing Cab, they're doing Syrah, they're doing like bigger bodied reds, and then you have out east the drier high desert area. There's people doing really fun experimental things that people just don't think about having from Oregon.
Yeah.
So. And that's the exciting thing, I think, in the wine industry right now, where just people are kind of like they're throwing the normal out the door.
Yeah.
And be like, what can we grow here?
Yeah.
What can we play with? California, I think, has really been going through this huge renaissance in the last 10, 15 years. You got people like Pax and Jolie Lade, and if you haven't had Monterey Cellars, the winemaker's name is Patrick. He's making wine in Lodi, and usually Lodi Zinfandel is big and high alcohol and like almost super jammy because it's hot there. But he is making really fresh, pretty wines, very unlike a lot of Lodi wines. And you can find his wines at places like Perrines and smaller shops in town.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can get one on the list.
Hopefully
I love his
on the
wines.
list that's coming soon. Huh?
And but yeah, that's it's an exciting time in the wine industry because even the big guys, you're seeing them produce Grenache, and more focusing on Syrah, because Syrah is, you think about Merlot and Cabernet, those are Bordeaux varietals.
Right.
Napa's very different than Bordeaux.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, California is very suited to Syrah and Grenache. Carignan, those like Mediterranean varietals.
Yeah, that would make
sense. They do very, very well there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, guys, California's like this plethora of grape varietals. There's so much stuff there. And you guys have, there's people doing Marcelin, there's people Gamay is really becoming big again. Val de Guy, which they used to call California Gamay, is its own varietal. And that's having a resurgence. But light, fresh, crushable red wines you're seeing a lot more people do that.
Do you think that some of that is a product of kind of the same thing that was happening and has been happening in the beer industry, where there's a lot of craft brews and all of that, and they're experimenting, and you just see like so much variety in beer and IPAs and different flavors, and mixing stuff up and putting all kinds of weird things in it to really experiment and come up with like some funky stuff.
I think there's some similarities because I think I just turned 35, and I know everyone my age is looking for something different. We all know what Napa Cab tastes like.
Right.
There's some great examples out there. But especially like I said, like where we are in Georgia, like you don't want to drink Napa Cab in the middle of the day in July. I mean, some people do, and then I see them put ice in
Or put ice in it.
I quietly freak out in my brain. But my mom does that. I'm like,
cry.
God, what are you doing? Stop ruining that.
But can I put ice in a cheap bottle of wine?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
If it's going to be bad, it might as well be cold and bad.
Don't do it.
Like last night, I was having dinner with my mom and my dad, and we opened some good wines. And I opened a really killer, like Grand Cru Chablis. And And I looked at my mom. I said, "Do not put ice in this."
I just have to
You
tell
will
you up
ruin me.
front, you may not do that to this.
Yeah. So I mean, there's this. It's been there. Like California has this huge history of grape growing. Before, I want to say it was in the 40s is when the French varietals came. Before that, California, before Prohibition, was all planted out to like Italian and Spanish varietals. So you have people like Heights who made Grignolino for a long time. There's Barbera there. There's Sangiovese. There's all these varieties that are from the past. And in a lot of cases, you have these very old vineyards that make really exquisite wines. And what happened, the French varietals came in, and then these wines and these vineyards ended up getting blended into like a bunch of bulk wine.
Right.
Which is like, and I think what's happening is a lot of these small wine growers are trying to capture these vineyards again and show that California has a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And you know, and guys like Patrick from Monterey Cellars has been very vocal about this. We are seeing a really downturn in wine sales. A lot of big famous producers have closed
Interesting.
because the wine business is having a downturn right now, and it's because of a slightly young, not because of them, but it's just a trend with a younger generation to drink all these seltzers.
Right. Right.
Like, you know, and cool, drink it. But
Don't forget about.
But don't
wine.
forget, like, yeah, we have a huge wine history, and we should, and, you know, I love French wine. I'll drink Bordeaux all day long. But, like, we definitely should be supporting those domestic growers in town. I mean, in our country, because we have some incredible wines being made here. Virginia is making some very good wine. Killer Riesling, Pinot Noirs up in the Finger Lakes in New York. I know they're giving it a try in Georgia. I haven't had anything that I'm like, this is great.
I was going to ask
But-
how you
Not
felt
quite
about
there yet.
Georgia, North Georgia wine.
There's a couple that I think like there's a couple that like I'll go and like the wine's like it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just and this is in the confines of, you know, the production level and what cost is of stuff on the market, but like there's Tiger Mountain, which I think makes actually pretty decent wine. Stonewall Creek, Frogtown Cellars. They work with like Touriga Nacional, and like some of these guys are working with varietals that make sense where
Sure.
we are.
Right.
But what we have here is a huge humidity and mildew pressure.
Yeah.
And so it's almost impossible to farm organically here in Georgia because of the humidity levels that we have, which make it really hard to avoid rot and all that stuff.
I watched this program on CBS Sunday Morning, plug, that was all about, I think it was cherry season. I think it was cherries. And they said over in the West Coast when they were growing, they have helicopters that fly over every day to dry everything
all the
off.
fruit off, yeah.
Because as soon as it gets wet, it like loses it essentially ripens it really quickly, and like you don't have much time to pick them before they go bad.
Yeah.
So they have helicopters on rotation that go down and just dry everything off every single day. And I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty incredible, like the lengths we will go to make sure that we have the right crop, you know, seasons and all of that.
And here in Georgia, I mean, there are ways to help
Sure.
the grapes stay dry. I mean, you clean up the canopy, less grapes, you can get more airflow through the vines. You try to keep them as dry as you can. It's just the climate that we're in now. Up in the mountains, though, you know, it's a little less humid and a little less hot.
Yeah.
So that's why it's all up there.
Yeah.
We have the soil for it. I mean, we have a ton of granite in Georgia. Syrah, if we can find a way to, you know, do it well here, theoretically should do really well here. Because if you talk about Northern Rhone, it's all granite soils. And that's where the greatest Syrah is made. And we have, they're very steep, terraced vineyards. Some of them are like plots, probably about the size of this room. And they make single bottlings off this stuff, and they're not cheap.
Yeah, no kidding.
But these are all hand harvested. They're like on ropes, like they're trestling down terraces. It's
Wow.
like a rather like, and they do this in like Germany. It's very like in the Mosel. Like
Yeah.
these vineyards are like,
Wow.
these people are like. When I've been in Germany, I'm like, gosh, you guys do this every day.
Yeah.
That's why you're in such good shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Those terraces, yeah.
And I assume those are mostly family-run businesses.
Yeah, I mean, Germany,
passed
you
down
have
through
guys
generations.
that been making wine since the 1400s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I love Riesling.
Yeah.
You know, people always think it's sweet. I think you guys know, there's a lot of dry Riesling
Yes,
out there that's
yeah.
very, very good.
Yeah.
And sweet Riesling has its place with certain food, you know. But yeah, Germany, another thing that's really, I think, with climate change, it's warmer. So you're seeing more Pinot Noir. I know of a gentleman who makes Cabernet in the Mosel. I know a gentleman, he also makes Sangiovese. It's, I believe, if I believe I'm correct, it's actually planted in the middle of a cab vineyard because he can't call it Mosel wine. Because it's Sangiovese. And that's a gentleman named Stein, and he makes incredible Rieslings. Like my favorite rosé every year is his rosé of Pinot Noir. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff in Germany, and just in general, everything's kind of being, you know, you see producers that you're like, I would not think you would make that, but I'm excited that you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think wine is so interesting that way, in that, you know, it's such an art form in what you're creating, but it's also kind of, it's like, it's a window into, like you talked about it being tied into history, but
Yeah.
also like the place and the people and the, like the experience and the culture around that is so, it's like you're getting all of that in a glass, kind of.
Burgundy is one of the most intense places. I talk about some of the most dedicated people to their wine I've ever seen in my life. I love some Burgundy. I wish it was cheaper, but it's not. But you know, some of these small growers and producers in Burgundy are some of the most amazing artists with wines. Even in tough vintages, some of them end up making some absolutely incredible wines. So, and Burgundy is going through some, with climate change, they're really having a hard time. Like they get years sometimes when the fruit's already setting and they get these big hailstorms, they lose half their crop.
Jeez.
And, or they get a late frost. So, and the weather's just like this all the time. And I feel for, like, you know, Champagne, Burgundy, Chablis, these northern growing areas, because their weather is just all over the place right now. Yeah.
Changing rapidly.
All the time. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, if anyone who doesn't believe in global warming, I like, go talk to a winemaker.
No kidding.
They'll explain it to you.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, because they see it, they're just seeing every year. They're like, well, what's going to happen?
Right.
Let's just throw our hands in the air and.
I mean, it's amazing
Hope for
that
the best.
everybody is so dedicated to that craft that it still exists. I mean, I think that about all of our growers, that they are all going through this tumultuous time where you don't know what's going to make it and what's not, and if we're going to be able to actually sell the crops that we're trying to grow today, or if they're going to get ruined, and like, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and like in getting back to like the wine business being somewhat in a downturn, domestically for sure. You know, that's something they're struggling with all the time because, you know, yes, they probably bottle their own wine, but a lot of these small guys, their business is selling fruit. And if other producers aren't selling enough wine to buy their fruit, some of this incredible fruit ends up in bulk wine. So, you know, like you know, some of these really beautiful special vineyards will end up in, like, you know, your grocery store random blend, and it's sad because you know that particular vineyard by itself like really pretty expressive wines. One I can think of is the Stampeded Vineyard in Lodi. It's like 100-year-old Zinfandel vines, and they make like Zinfandel like most people haven't had before. And there's a couple of producers who work with that I know of that make just beautiful wines. It's Zinfandel that you would think tastes like Gamay almost. But yeah, so hopefully we'll see people starting to drink more wine. I would like that, and that's kind of what I'm trying to push wine. It's a way why I'm shrinking the selection over here, because I feel like the more you pare it down, you're like, this is what we have for you to drink, and I hope you try it and hope you like it. You know, and I've been doing BTG specials to kind of experiment about like, what's the level I can, like, where's my cap?
How can I push this?
Like, so like last week I did a single cru Barbaresco by the glass. This is a bottle that would retail for like $100. I did a $30 glass, and we sold a lot of it. And I was surprised because I was like, okay, Marietta is willing to pay $30 a glass
Yeah.
for Barbaresco, which I honestly thought it was a gamble to start, but
Yeah.
it's exciting. It made me like, okay, cool, I can get away with a little bit of stuff. Yeah.
Now, I know that you do this on the commercial level, but you also help a couple of private collectors with their collections.
Yep.
So talk about that experience a little bit and how you curate that for others.
So this is like, I like my job. This is the fun stuff I love to do. So I get to work with the select few people who have no problem spending money on wine. And they're great. Like, one in particular I'm really working with heavily right now. He's a fun guy, and he, I met him when I was working at Lucien, and he was like, I love champagne. I need to buy more champagne. And
You're like, you're my people.
Yeah, I'm like,
I can help you with
Yeah.
that.
and so, and he has this beautiful cellar, and it is the fun part of doing this is like when you finally get to the point that you have filled this person's cellar out, and it's me, the geek that I am about wine, I look at what's in there, and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome.
It's so beautiful.
And it's the fun part is like some of these collectors, maybe they've only been drinking really high-end Napa Cab, and then you can show them other things.
Yeah, broaden their horizons.
Broaden their horizons.
Yeah.
Like show them great Cornas, and Sicilian wines are stunning, especially wines from Etna around the volcano. Those are
Oh, yeah, I bet.
some
Is that
incredible
volcanic
wines.
soil again?
Yeah, volcanic soil. It's good for wine. And you get to see the fun part. It's the same kind of thing of working in a restaurant, and you expose someone to a wine, and you see that expression on their face. You're like, oh, cool, this is cool.
Oh, wait,
Like,
there is something
there's
outside
something
of-
out there. Like, and I get to see that with these collectors when I work with them, and when I bring them a wine that I'm like, hey, I think we should buy this, and it's usually small production stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Luckily with my time here in the wine industry, I know people in distribution, and I can be like, so when is this coming?
Right.
And now in my job, I always know
Yeah.
what's coming
Yeah.
in. So, and I can, do both things. Funnel wine to. I have my favorite wine stores I like to run my sales through because I love the people who work there.
Yeah.
I particularly like to buy wines for my customers from Pairings and from the wine store up in Johns Creek,
Okay.
which is this little gym that has. It's been around forever, like since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they have this ridiculous selection of wine, and anyone who's in Johns Creek, you pull up to it, and it's the most you're
Unassuming
like, this
place.
is a liquor store. And then you go in there and you start looking at the wines, and you're like, holy crap. The money's there. It's Johns
This guy
Creek.
knew what he was talking about.
It's the
when
real
he-
deal.
And Perrine is, Perrine has done an incredible job. She's been around in town for almost 15 years, I think. And her first shop was over in the West Side. And she then opened the pop-up shop over by Lucien, right there near Far, East Paces. And then she just opened a new shop a year ago in Sandy Springs.
Okay.
And she has great tastings, and the wine selection is very hard to beat, honestly. And she's French. She's from Burgundy.
Well, there you go.
She knows
Comes
her-
by it naturally.
She's got
she knows her
credentials.
wine, and her staff is super knowledgeable, and they know what they're doing. I can name several shops in town that really people just wouldn't think are there.
Yeah.
There's another one up in Milton called Cork and Glass. It's my buddy Pepe who owns the restaurant next door, and he owns the wine store, and they have a killer selection. But he's also in Milton, and he knows that he's going to sell a ton of cases.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but there's these little gyms around town, and I think people don't know about, and I definitely try to tell them about them because you don't have to go to just the liquor store down the street to get your wine.
Yeah.
Right.
These shops that I've mentioned, they do tastings, they do classes, and if you're really interested in learning, it's a great places to do this thing without having to spend a ton of money.
Yeah.
So.
And they know what they're talking about too.
Yeah.
So if you had questions and you weren't able to take a class, but let's
Yeah.
say you have a dinner you want to go to, I'm sure you can go there and they would give you a great selection to
Yeah.
choose from. Yeah.
And there's a few in town. So I mean, Pairings is in town. There's 3 parks in the Old Fourth Ward. Really, I helped open that store. It's beautiful. It's right on the Beltline. It's a gorgeous store. And they do flights. So if you're on the Beltline, you can go by and get like a flight of wine, and it changes all the time. And so there's a lot of options for people to go drink different things. And then, but I mean, if you want Cabernet, go drink it. If you want buttery Chardonnay, go for it.
Yeah.
So whatever you like, that's what I tell people. But you can still find producers who make the style of wine that you want, but maybe in a higher quality than your grocery store wines.
Yeah.
So
How do you determine a higher quality on that? I mean, in terms of like, you drink what you like to a certain extent, but like what makes a good wine a good wine? I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive to be
it doesn't
good
have to be
necessarily.
expensive. I think you learn about the practices in the vineyard and in the winery. I think you do your research. I mean, I do. I don't expect the average person.
You do
and this
our
is my job.
research, and then we
My
We
job
call you and
to
hire
inform
Call you and
people,
ask you.
but there are plenty of if you want to say larger producers who do good practices. They farm organically and they are sustainable and they don't add extra sulfites to their wines. And there's a brand out there called Camp. You can get it at Whole Foods. At every Whole Foods has it. And it's Merlot and Zen and Cab and Chard, but they're made naturally and they're good wines. I mean, they're all under $20, I believe. And then like the brand I mentioned earlier, Mary Taylor, all her wines are generally under $20, and they're from. I mean, you can get Coster de Nîmes. She has a Bordeaux Rouge. She has a Bordeaux Blanc. I mean, I think she has like 35 labels now. It's nuts. Probably more than that actually. And yeah, I think it's as far as like determining what is a good producer. Like I said, getting to the practices and like it's something. It's like I can tell. I don't know how.
It's all your
But
training.
like I can tell when a wine that has been sprayed with a bunch of fertilizer and chemical things to keep the grapes intact, they somehow have less character.
Yeah.
They're not as interesting.
Just kind of flattens
They
them a
just
bit.
flat. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a very good term.
Yeah.
To me, they're just flat. And it's not always. I mean, sometimes there's a good winemaker, but there's wines that are made organically. Number one, generally they have to be on a smaller scale because to do that in a good way, it's really hard to do it if you have like 500 acres of grapes.
Yeah.
But if you're the smaller producers, you're gonna be more often finding them producing naturally, and naturally doesn't always mean the wine's gonna smell like feet.
Yeah.
Some wines do.
Is
I was
that
gonna say, I said not always. But
Some wines smell like feet but taste really good. So,
well,
there's-
some cheeses do the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I have some friends who are like diehard, like they just love California wine, and I love blinding them. I'll just like bring a bottle, wrap it in foil.
Yeah.
Be like, drink this, and they're like, oh, this is so good. And I'm like, yeah, it's from like Portugal,
yeah.
Sicily, or something like that. But yeah, I think I try to seek out your smaller producers. They're the ones that are hurting the most right now, and let's support our domestic producers. Like, drink some Beaujolais, but go out and buy a small producer you haven't heard of before. Try it out. You're probably gonna like it. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned like, let's get people drinking more wine here. But I think a lot of people are kind of intimidated by
That's understandable.
wine. There's all of this knowledge and all of this feeling like there's a lot of rules you're supposed to know or supposed to follow. I mean, what do you
As
say
a
to
customer,
those
there's
people?
no rules you need to know. That's my job.
Yeah.
Like, that's our job in the industry to I don't expect customers to come in to know exactly how to taste wine. It's my job to know when someone comes in and they're like, I like this wine. You don't have it on your list. What is going to be in that wheelhouse?
Yeah.
And I will, if you've been doing this long enough, you can generally know you have a little room. If they like Sonoma Couture, which is bigger style oak regiment Chardonnay. You can probably put them on a like a Meursault or a Burgundy that is like bigger in style. But those wines are generally going to be more finessed, and they're going to have more acidity. And a lot of times you get a reaction of like, oh, this is different, but I like it. You know, I try to do that when someone comes in and they're like, I like that wine, and I try to throw them on something that's similar but a little on
That's
left
a little
field.
different. Yeah, I love that.
Because it's like my constant endeavor to get people on to small producers.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said, some of the wine, it comes and goes. We have a few distributors in town that are small that have really extraordinary books, but they work with small producers almost exclusively. So they might have something, like one I can think off the top of my head is like Barèche Champagne, which is like a champagne that all the somms in town go nuts about, and they should, because it's really, really good. It's cheaper than Veuve and a heck of a lot better. And, sorry, Veuve. It's still going to be on my list, don't worry. 'Cause I have to have it. And, but the state only gets so many cases.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. When you start liking small producers,
Yeah.
you have to realize it's only going to be available for, but that's kind of the fun thing. Like, I can't get this wine anymore, so what am I going to go find
Yeah.
that I like as well?
It forces you to go a little outside of your norm too.
If you want to start learning about wine, it's maybe a little bit of a chore, but I think it's totally worth it in the long run, because you just start exposing yourself to all kinds of fun stuff.
Do you think that people who like a certain type of wine and want to get into, want to learn more about it, should continue trying different brands of that specific variety?
Because it can change.
Yeah.
Really good example. In California, there's, that style of Cabernet, which is like big and, oaky and high alcohol.
That's my style.
And then some of it's really good. Like if it's made well, it can be good, and it can age for a very long time.
Yeah.
You think of like the single vineyards from like Louis Martini, and the single vineyards from what am I thinking off the top of my head? Like there are some killer vintages of Silver Oak and Opus, but those wines actually, they need time, because when they're young, they're just like huge.
Right.
But if you can be patient,
Mellow out a little bit.
they're gonna change, and
Just like people.
Yeah,
Chill.
exactly.
Chill a little bit.
Oh, when I was young and I was getting into this, I was a total pain in the butt. Like, I'd be like, this sucks. As I've gotten older, like I said, you just accept that people drink what they want to drink. When I was younger, and when I had my first beverage buyer position in a restaurant, I went so left field with my first menu, and and then I learned after that, because you get feedback from customers, and they're like, well, I still want this wine.
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance of, you got to have the stuff that's fun, but you got to, and some restaurants can do whatever the heck they want.
Sure, yeah.
That was the fun part about working at Lucien. The owners are Jordan Smelt and Katie Berenger, and if you guys, if in Atlanta, if you have not been to Lucien, please make sure you go. It is by far the best wine list in town. I'm friends with them. Maybe I'm a little, a little biased. And I worked with Jordan at Reef Gauche when I was working at distribution. And I'm a little biased on their portfolio, honestly, because it's so dang good. I had a bigger distributor recently tell me, he's like, don't put pet nat on the menu. And I'm like, because you said that, I think I'm going to.
Only because you said that.
Yeah. And not all pet nats are dirty and funky. There's some really pretty, fresh, clean ones out there. So, I am biased towards certain things.
Sure.
Because there are certain distributors in town that you can tell just have curated the heck out of their book. And they don't want to offer anything down to the $7 cost Sauvignon Blanc. They don't want to sell anything that they wouldn't want to take home and drink.
Yeah.
And that is the fun part about working with companies like that. And yeah, I will support the big guys because they have been good to Max and they have been good. You know, they've been good business
Sure,
partners. But I want to highlight some of these smaller distributors because they have wines that people haven't had before.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of being able to curate a whole wine list is you can put the big guys in there and you can put, pepper in some of the
Yeah.
little stuff and pepper in some experimental or off the wall kind of wines.
Yeah, and some of these
see
big
how it
guys
goes.
have some gems in their books. Not all bigger distributors, but a lot of them are, they have their programs and they have their things they have to sell.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think that sometimes limits the salespeople to their knowledge of what's in their book.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, I got to sell this many cases of this
Right.
every month, so
Right.
I'm going to ignore that cool wine that I have back in the corner over there.
Yeah.
And anyone who's calling on me, any of the distributors who listen to this are calling on me, I know you guys have these cool wines. I want to see them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And there's places for them.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, have you guys been to Max? Have you guys been to it?
Yes.
Okay. What do you
Yep.
think about it?
I love Max.
Okay.
And actually, when we were there, we had a really good bottle of wine.
Good.
But it was a while ago, so you weren't there. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure who served me that bottle
Yeah, it
of
was
wine.
probably so Justin was a former som, and he's
Yeah, I
great.
think it was Justin who
Yeah,
came up and talked
he's
about it,
great,
yeah.
and he's now down at UMI.
Okay.
I think he started with them when they opened in 2020, and I think a lot in Marietta has changed since 2020.
A lot, yeah.
Yes.
And I think now, kind of like what I said earlier, I think there's more room to be more playful. I think, especially in the raw bar, seafood.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Right.
you can have light, chillable reds and lots of bubbles. Lots
Yeah.
of bubbles.
Yeah.
We're gonna have all of the bubbles, guys. Anyone who's a champagne freak like me, just wait. I'm trying to make a wine mecca north of the city. There's a few select restaurants I can think of, like Spring and my buddy Pepe's restaurant, that are places you can go get some killer bottles of wine
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you don't find everywhere. But unfortunately, once you get out of 285, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, this is what everyone drinks.
We know this works. Yeah.
And this is just what we're going to sell.
Yeah.
The Select is another good restaurant that has a good wine selection. They're over in Sandy Springs. But yeah, I'm just trying really hard, and so is Nicole with our spirits program, to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know what a Cosmo is. You
I
can
do-
still get it.
We do.
I do love their, what was it, a smoked old fashioned?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
But it was a fall version and it was, I don't even remember what
It
the
had
difference
the
was. Oh, cinnamon stick.
Yeah.
that had been fired.
so we're
and
always
it's-
gonna.
yeah.
So the owner Randy, he loves that drink. And that's never going anywhere.
Good.
We have a huge bourbon selection. So anyone who's a bourbon person, we have some of the rarest of the rare bourbons. And if it's not on the menu, just ask us what we have, because
Sure.
there's a lot of stuff downstairs that's not on the menu. And that's kind of
We're getting
A
the
tip.
inside story now.
And we have it because I found this out when I came into the job, that we're the biggest account for High West in the South.
Well,
We have every limited High West out there. So anyone who loves to drink High West whiskey,
Yeah.
you like any of the single cask, single barrel stuff that they have, we have it, most likely. And
to
we're
know.
going to be doing a bourbon dinner this fall.
oh, good.
Also,
That'll
good
be
to know.
perfect for me.
Yeah. We're going to try and do it every year.
Yeah.
Because and it's probably going to be High West mostly. Nicole wants to be playful too, so we're trying to do what we can. But and I'm trying to do. So we have a Farniente dinner Wednesday next week. I think there's a few tickets left available. Anyone who wants to go. Farniente is one of those stable. They make good wines.
Yeah.
They're not cheap. The dinner's not cheap. I'm not gonna lie.
But it's
it's
quality.
5 courses.
Yeah.
And you get to taste 8 wines.
Wow.
That's
So
cool.
5 courses, 8 wines. It's 190. That's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll spend my wine when I go out to eat. My wine will be more than that.
Yeah.
but
We need to go out to eat with you.
I know.
I'm going to Lucien tonight.
FYI.
You know, yeah, I'm just trying to build this wine mecca in Marietta because I think we need it, we deserve it. You know, just because we're outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
I think everyone should have access to some of this killer stuff that's available now.
Let's
So.
bring people from inside the city outside the perimeter.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff up here.
Yeah.
And, you know, people don't want to wander OTP if they're ITP. And I
Yeah.
get it. I used
get
to
it.
be that person.
Yeah. No, I currently live in Woodstock, but I'm moving back in town. And I lived in town. I've always lived in town. And I get that. When you're in town, you know, everything's there. Why do I need to go out there?
Take a trek.
You know, I'd only come up here to see my parents, and I'd be like, oh, God, 40 minutes.
Be out in nature.
Yeah.
Get out of the city.
The wilds of the suburbs.
You know, I do that. Like, you know, I have, a buddy that will go out into the middle of the country, bring a cooler of champagne, and go shoot some guns, which is maybe not a great idea. But, you know.
Guns first,
Yeah.
champagne second.
But don't do that, guys.
Yeah. We're not promoting that. Just for the record.
It's, I just, I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to do at Max. I've had a great time in this business. I think if you're into wine at all and you think you might want to get in the wine business, go work at a shop because that'll show you if you really want to do it or not.
Yeah.
So, like, working in a wine shop, I always tell people who want to go into distribution, who have only worked in restaurants, first thing I'll tell them to do is go work at a retail shop first. Because it will make you a better rep, knowing that there's two very different sides. So I've done both, and I'm glad I did both. I left restaurants for a while and went to work for Whole Foods, and in a regional aspect, and it teaches you, like, even more so than restaurants, you got to have certain things.
Yeah.
Because as far as a grocery store is concerned, they just want what they want. People will be more playful in a restaurant.
Yeah.
But
finding that balance between comfort zone and sort of pushing people's boundaries.
One of the stores I was over in Arizona, Scottsdale, if I didn't have Ron Bauer Chardonnay, I mean, they'd burn the place down. So Scottsdale's kind of like Buckhead, They want that buttery Chardonnay.
Well, I think that this has been a really great conversation,
That's awesome.
and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
For those of us who want to follow you and find out more, where can we go and where can we see you aside from behind the bar at Max?
Just a good
So
place to
I have an
start.
Instagram. It's Wineslinger ATL. Follow me. It's my life and wine. My travels, my friends, mostly wine.
Mostly wine.
If you see all my posts, it's like a few things about my life and then wine. And then, you see me at Max. I'm on the floor generally all the time, or in the cellar, or, helping. I mean, I'm clearing tables. I'm doing everything because I think as a somm, I think the best ones are not just keeping themselves to wine. You have to support your staff. And I try to do that, and also trying to absorb this whole thing that I'm doing right now. But and then let's see. You can find me at Lucien at least once a month, drinking some champagne. Let's see places I like to haunt. Del Bar's great.
Oh, yeah.
I love Del Bar. It's busy. Make a reservation. Lila in town. Get the duck lasagna. Go off the diet.
We're getting all the tips, man. I'm going to have to play this back. And
I'll go attend. I mean, even though I've been in this a while, I'll go sit in for a tasting at Breen's. 'Cause maybe she's pouring something really cool. And I'm off that day.
There you go.
But I'd say lastly is, try to drink something different every week. Go out of your box a little bit.
I think that's really interesting. I think it's really cool that you guys are, trying to do something new and bring something fresh over, and we're looking forward to trying it.
I mean, I'm not going to go so crazy that people in Marriott are like, what are you doing? Like I said, I'm going to have something for everyone.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So.
Love it. We end every episode with some rapid fire questions.
Okay, go for it.
So hopefully you don't mind being our rapid fire for
I'm
today.
down for it. Let's do it.
They're just for fun. The first one, and I had to change the phrasing of this one because we've run into it several times. Do you remember the Mr. Sketch scented markers? Did you have those when you were a kid? Yes. Okay, fine. So what was your favorite flavor?
Blueberry.
/ color? Blueberry.
Blueberry.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good choice. What place do you feel most inspired?
It's a hard one because probably my favorite place in this country that I love to go to is Northern Arizona. My end game is to make wine. I'm not going to be a somm forever. I like my job, but my end game is to make wine, and that's where I plan on making wine.
Yeah.
And I always get reinvigorated with wine when I go back because, by the way, guys, wine in Northern Arizona is very good.
Huh.
Think of it like Mendoza.
Yeah.
High elevation, high desert.
Yeah.
They're growing all kinds of cool stuff there. And there's some stellar wines, and the reason why California wines are so expensive is because the cost of land is nuts.
Yeah.
Arizona is like 1/8 the cost. So the wines
Yeah.
are so much cheaper. And the quality's good. So I feel very inspired when I go there and I see these small people getting, like, some of them have been around 10, 15, 20 years. When you look in the aspect of, like, European people that have been around for generations and generations, they're just babies.
Yeah.
They're, like, still experimenting and having fun with it. That's where I get really inspired when I go back. And I see these winemakers who are making cool stuff, and you can get it for $25.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's really, really cool.
Love that. Sounds like a plan.
And let's see. If I'm in service and it's a good night and you're having fun and you're getting to sell some good wines, that's when I have fun as well. Like,
Yeah.
customers are having a good time. I'm getting people to drink some things they wouldn't normally drink.
Feel energized.
Feel energized,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, this is why I do this job.
Yeah.
Because it can be a grind.
Sure. Yeah.
The restaurant business can be a grind, and I tell people all the time, I was like, if you're not willing to work 50, 60 hours a week, don't be a beverage director.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Don't do it. So, and yeah, so inspiration when I'm having a good time on the floor, and when I'm in an element that I really, really enjoy. So yeah.
Love it. If you were a hero or a villain, what would your superpower be?
Print money so I can build a vineyard.
Smart.
Means to an end.
Yeah.
What would your at-bat music, your walk-up song, what song are you going to pick?
Ooh. Probably Bad Blood by Taylor Swift.
Would you rather travel to the past or the future?
Probably the past.
I was going to say, you said you were a history buff,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm
Probably the
expecting you to
past.
go past.
I still read a lot of history. I'm a huge documentary person. I'll probably watch way too many documentaries and kill a bottle of wine while doing it. But yeah, I look at back in, I would say, I think the really interesting time was turn of the century, late 1800s, 1900s, what they call the Gilded Age, when America was like really changing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be better if you had money back then.
Of course.
Yes.
But
You'll want to do the print money power first,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
And then go back in time.
but that to me is a really cool. It's when so many inventions happened,
Yeah.
and the world as we know it was changing.
Yeah.
Electricity, all that stuff, plumbing,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yes.
Transportation,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. It was I think that's the time period where the world changed the most, the biggest. And that'd be fun. That'd be real fun.
Cool. What's one item on your bucket list?
New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been
Mine
in New
too.
Zealand, and there are some very good wines down there. And there's more than Sauvignon Blanc, y'all. There's very good Pinot Noir. There's people like Craggy Range who make Bordeaux style wines. There's a lot of cool wines in New Zealand, and a lot of them don't make it here. Like if you go to Australia,
Yeah.
it's all Australian wine. They don't have. There's not a lot of California wine there, and there's not a lot of European wine there.
Yeah.
When I was a distributor and the Aussie winemakers would come in, they'd be like, "Oh crap, I need to buy that. I need to buy this. I can't get this back home."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, New Zealand is, and I was a huge Lord of the Rings fan when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, gotta go to Middle Earth.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. If you could live in a TV show, what show would you pick?
Oh man, I wish I'd. Probably the Gilded Age.
Oh, there you
I was
go.
gonna say.
It comes full circle.
Yeah,
Sweet or salty?
salty.
I want to add one in there.
Go ahead.
Red or white?
Yeah, there you go.
God, I drink everything. I do.
All of the above.
I drink more white as I've gotten older. Like I said, I love Chablis. I love Etna white wines. I drink more white than I drink red. If the food I'm having calls for red, I'll drink red.
Sure.
If I'm given a choice, I'll probably go for white.
Nice. Good to know. Would you rather live the rest of your life in total sunlight or total darkness?
Sunlight. I'm a summer boy.
There you go. And finally, can you impersonate any famous person or character?
Ooh,
You have a theater background.
know. There's
you
gotta be
can do
something
it,
in there.
man.
I'm not doing my Cher impersonation.
Oh, do
Oh,
it.
please.
Now you
do
have
it.
to.
Now you have to.
Come on.
If only I had the hair to flip.
I know.
Where's my wig, y'all? Yeah, no, I've done a lot of theater. With Cher, that's the easiest one to do, really. I haven't done a lot of impersonations. I did a lot of improv back in the day, but yeah.
That's brave.
Yeah.
Well, I think Cher's pretty good. We'll take
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah,
This
no
was
problem.
awesome.
It was
We
a pleasure.
really enjoyed chatting. And thank you all for joining us today for another episode of Inspired By. If you like what you hear, make sure to click the like and subscribe button down there. And if you want to follow our team for more, you can find us on Instagram at Clementine Creative Agency. And we'll see you on our next episode. And in the meantime, we hope you find lots of ways to be inspired.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.